Chuck. Tingle. Chuck. Tingle. Chuck. Tingle. Chuck. Tingle.
Hello, I'm Fiona Bruce and welcome to
the Chuck Tingle Book Club.
Oh, yeah. Well, howdy and how do, true buckaroos, and welcome back to another Chuck Tingle Book Club, brought to you by the fine reprobates at PTP Podcast. I am your resident Chuckademic Taz. You've got to read on there. With me, I've got that guy.
My name down there too. It is Tom.
So what are we looking at this week, Tom?
This week, as you can see quite clearly between us, and the fact we've recorded this twice already, fucking up the audio constantly, we are doing Buttnite Buttle Royale by, of course, the two-time Hugo Award finalist Chuck Tingle.
Yeah, and it's an interesting one. This one
it is, and the fact we've already scored it and we know where it places kind of tells us how we feel about it. But third time's a charm. Let's do this. So
yes, absolutely. So go on, give us your Tomnopsis.
Tomnopsis, yay! Right, Buttnite Buttle Royale. If you don't know Battle Royale games, first I need to explain a few things to you. Usually there's 100 combatants. The circle playing area shrinks to promote player-on-player interactions, and it's last man standing wins. Now, the only way you actually become victorious at these is by using tactics of picking only battles you're going to win, avoiding battles that you're definitely not going to win, and being extremely lucky with what you've loot, the tiered items and weapons that you find. But winning Buttnite Buttle Royale in the Tingleverse will net you 1 million credits, and it seems Peter's only option after being fired from his gas station job. This seems doable, as the reason why he's getting fired is because he refused to cover a co-worker who just won the competition's shift at the petrol station. Then, when being confronted about being fired to refuse taking the shift, he buckles and then is fired for not being obedient in the first place.
More on that later.
Great. Anywho, if you follow that, you'll follow this plot. Anywho, Buttnite is 100-man handsome off. The last most handsome man standing wins. Looting for handsome buffing items is the key to winning this battle. On the way to the island, a handsome Bigfoot, named Renton Timbis, introduces himself to Pete. Pete asks for advice from the competitor, as he's already done this before Renton. And Renton's very kind and tells him the location of a cute pair of sunglasses on top of an aircraft hangar. Then they all start jumping out of a bus, as you do. There's a flying bus in
the flying bus. It's
this shitty game behind me.
Oh, nice. Yes.
You're
not a fan of Fortnite, are you, Tom?
No. The first recording, I wasn't a fan. The second recording of this, I wasn't a fan. I'm even less of a fan now. I've had to set up this fucking green screen with this bollocks on it. Fucking rip-off. Rip-off of a game. Oh, our game's not going to do very well in the current climate. What should we do? Let's rip off the most popular game right now and steal its core concept and make everyone play it because it's free. Fucking cunts.
Just
anyway.
Milk them for all their sweet little monies. Ooh.
So anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
Pete heads for the hangar on his parachute. But no glasses. He can't seem to find them. Has he been tricked? How mean of that sexy Bigfoot. However, below the hiding place of Pete, there is two buff dudes having a strut off. And the victor, a unicorn, seems to be approaching Pete's location. Pete panics and hunts for the glasses even harder. Boom. He finds them, jumps out, annihilates the unicorn. The unicorn's teleported off the island and out of the competition. A horn sound signalling the circle shrinking. Pete loots the unicorn's gear and heads off. And literally in the next sentence, Pete realises that only himself and one other competitor remain. Of course, Pete spots Renton. From a safe distance, Pete thanks Renton for the help and offers to forfeit out of consideration of his early game kindness. Renton demands that Pete doesn't do this, saying if Pete takes off his gear in order to make himself an easy target and forfeit, he will do the same. Saucy. Here we go. This, of course, is what happens, and they approach each other in their 0-tier birthday suits. Taz, is that joke even third time as funny as it was the first time?
The third time round, mate.
Okay, cool. Both lads start to get semis and do... Sorry. Both lads start to get semis staring dong to enormous Bigfoot dong. They both won't let the other forfeit. So to pass...
Airplane your shit, Tom.
Yeah, sorry.
Airplane your shit.
I like the fact Google was trying to search for dong to enormous Bigfoot dong by the looks of it. But yeah, they won't let each other forfeit, and to pass the time till the end of the game, you know where we're going, baby. We're going to the pleasure zone.
Take you to the pleasure zone, baby.
Hand roaming kisses. Tight gripped man on the Bigfoot hand job with rapt enthusiasm. On the knees blowing the Bigfoot with ball cuppage. There we go, there's that cuppage, thank you Taryn. Plunging well past the gag reflex. Beam. Spit flying. Fuck me, shove that giant Bigfoot dick of yours in my tight arsehole. Bigfoot mounts. Size now apparent as butthole is completely maxed out. Jacking off while being ploughed with breathtaking confidence. Glorious, potent orgasm. Oh fuck, Renton moans. You win. No, you win, Paul replies with a smile. Oh.
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby. As the final circle shrinks, they instead, both trying to win, both try to lose by walking out of the play area. Pete, however, is the loser. Renton, a Bigfoot of principles and of love, brings over half the winnings to share with Pete, and they drive off in the sunset together.
Cool. Thank you very much for the Tomnopsis. It's a good summation of what happens in the book. But as ever, I like to go a little deeper.
Don't you, darling?
My anal assists. Buttnite Buttle Royale. It was released on May of 2018, and it came at a time when Epic Games' smash hits Fortnite were almost at peak playership. It also came more than a whole year before the first, and thanks to a little global pandemic, so far only Fortnite World Cup. So, at the very least, Chuck Blestinsky was somewhat prescient in his writing here. But the story? Well, it's every bit as fun and lovely as we have come to expect from the good doctor, and it certainly does a good job of using the bones of the Battle Royale format to achieve this fun. But it doesn't do much with the Fortnite-specific aspects. In fact, compared to what we've seen Chuck do with his previous parodies of the Zeitgeist, the whole thing feels almost a little rote. Like Chuck was almost writing on automatic? Well, to find out, we are going to have to do the science.
Whoop whoop, he's got props. Whoop whoop whoop.
Part 1. So, is this just a shameless cash-in, or what? The short answer to that is... See, when it comes to Fortnite, there are a number of different angles Chuck could have explored. The game has a large and diverse player base, so it would have been no problem to explore and extol this virtue through the means of one of his bisexual group encounter tinglers. On another front, Chuck Shun Tinkamy took a game that, at its core, is about murdering up to 99 other people in order to win, and he turned it into a free-for-all competition to decide which of them is the most handsome. Rather than combat, Buttnite is about impromptu, improvised battle pageants. this could very easily set up a story to explore the joy over violence debate in video games. The fact that construction is a large part of the Fortnite's gameplay would potentially add a significant catwalk building component to this formula. But we see none of that here. So perhaps there are some missed opportunities here. But does that mean it's a simple cash-in? Well, I might not argue against the notion that this is something of a cash-in, but I do not think there's anything shameless or simple about it. This could have been a story just about competition or a video game, but it isn't. The fact of the matter is that in writing Buttnite Buttle Royale, Chuck made some definite choices, and those choices say something about what proves love in the Tingleverse. Part 2. Destructive corporate capitalism. We should probably start off here with a quick definition of corporate capitalism. Simply put, it's a capitalist marketplace characterized by the dominance of a hierarchical and bureaucratic of corporations. To wit, it's the places where most of us can earn a living, and they are constructed to have a mass of workers on the bottom, a smaller number of bosses who have power over those workers, and an even smaller number of bosses that have power over those bosses, and so on until we get to someone at the top. So basically, it's the world in which we live. It's also the world in which our Chucktagonist, Pete, lives. Our story starts with Pete, who's about to finish his shift at the gas station on which he works. Unfortunately for Pete, the guy who was due to take the next shift isn't going to turn up. This is a problem because the gas station owner and Pete's boss, Turner, has turned up in person to tell Pete to take the shift. Pete reasonably declines, pointing out that it's dinner time. I've got plans. To which Turner simply responds, sorry, that's not an option. You're taking Riley's shift if you want to keep your job. Pete gets fired, and we find ourselves in a position we've seen time and again in the Tingleverse. Corporate capitalism, that is, the worker-boss hierarchy, has already fucked our Chucktagonist before anyone has so much as touched their flies. But that's not all. In Buttnite Buttle Royale, we see a little more of the true nature of the corporate monster. So, Pete's position is obviously unenviable. By the end of the book, we know he lives in a dilapidated home and has a life of financial squalor. And that despite having a job, we also know his friends must be in a similar position because though they're wonderful, none of them are in any position to take care of me should I suddenly lose my source of income. So, even for those currently employed on the lower rungs of the corporate ladder, things seem pretty grim. The quality of life is poor, and their means stretch only to their own survival. Add to that the powers granted by the corporate hierarchy, wherein a smaller number of bosses have power over the workers' continued employment, and obviously their situation only worsens. Now, theoretically, there are checks and balances that should protect workers against bosses abusing their powers. That would be the bureaucratic aspect of our initial definition of corporate capitalism. But this isn't always the case. In our previous study of Pounded in the Butt by the handsome sentient manifestation of my Twitch stream, our Chucktagonist could lose his job at the will of his bosses due to fine print in his contract. Corporate bureaucracy was actively used against him in this case, whereas in this tale, Pete loses his job because Turner says so. Pete remarks, I'm not quite sure of the legality of my boss's actions, but either way, I don't really have the resources to do anything about it. Turner is the owner of the gas station and Pete's immediate boss. There is no bureaucratic layer in that structure to protect Pete from his boss's whims. Nor can Pete seek legal action against this event because his position on the bottom of the corporate pile has left him without the means to pay for it. This is the situation that leads Pete to competing in Buttnite, a 100-player strong competition for which there is only a payoff for the last one standing. There's a moment of corporate capitalist horror to be found even here. The contestants have to jump out of a flying bus and parachute down to the island on which the game takes place. After the doors of the bus open, Pete watches the other bucks tumble into the sky. We have this moment. My heart is slamming hard on my chest now. Not sure if I can make the leap. What choice do I have? A voice in the back of my mind tells me. And then, once Pete takes the jump, all I can consider is whether or not I'm going to die when I hit the ground. So, think about that for a second. The corporate capitalist system has put our Chucktagonist in such a desperate position that it forces him into a solo and potentially deadly freefall. And this happens so that he can compete against 99 other bucks in something that he's never done before. And that seems like a more viable option for Pete's continued survival than literally anything else. That seems like a pretty damning indictment of what such a system does to those at its base. But we're not done yet. Before we get to this point, Chuck has already insinuated how destructive and self-defeating this system can be for those who are supposed to reap its benefits. Let's take a quick look at how it treats one of its bosses. See, the thing is, in the face of his boss threatening to fire him for not taking a shift that wasn't his responsibility, Pete actually relents and agrees to do the work. Turnter, however, thinks again. And what he does next makes him seem kind of a maniac. You know what? Never mind, my boss finally states firmly. I only want employees who know their place. You're fired. I'll cover the rest of the evening, and tomorrow I'll have 2 new employees instead of 1. By the way Turnter puts this, the way Turnter puts this makes it seem like a simple solution. But anyone who's ever had to handle hiring and firing knows that Turnter's making a huge amount of work of him, for himself just to flex on Pete. Even if Turnter somehow manages to find 2 people to fill the positions tomorrow, there's training and supervision to take into account before his workforce is back to the level it was at. Until then, either he'll have to pick up the slack and suffer, or his employees will, which, either way, will probably have a knock-on effect on the business. Tom, you've had to deal with hiring and firing. You've had to deal with training people. You've had to deal with being short-staffed. I mean, obviously, if someone's like causing obvious troubles at work,
it's a lot of fun to fire them. That's what you're getting at. Yeah, definitely.
Sure, but you wouldn't just fire someone because they disrespected your authority, would you? And if you did, would you be able to find 2 new people to work a shift tomorrow?
I've definitely fired people and spited my future self before. I've definitely had to work 3 times harder because I've had to fire someone, but they always deserved it. Let me put it that way.
Okay, cool.
But you are quite right. You're literally firing someone just to spite them. That's never been done by me.
No, and to be fair, I think anyone who would do it is, well, an idiot or a cog in the corporate machine. Anyway,
or a Fortnite player.
Or a Fortnite player.
Wanker.
That's how corporate capitalism responds to those that don't fully buy into the hierarchical power structures at its core. It doesn't just destroy its victim, it can and will damage those who uphold its tenets just to protect itself. Now, I don't bring this up to voice any sympathy for Turnter, but because Chuck has cleverly shown us how this corporate capitalism does not prove love, not just for those at the bottom, but potentially for anyone stuck in its cold and callous grasp. Part 3. Constructive support and self-sufficiency.
What was that accent? Sorry.
I don't know why. I almost started trying to lean into the French voiceover dudes from SpongeBob.
Yeah. One letter.
I tried to back out partway through, so what happened was some sort of Frankenstein tongue monster. Okay, cool. So here we are. Constructive cooperation and self-reliance, or whatever the fuck I just said. At the beginning of the Buttnite competition, our desperate Chucktagonist is looking around at the absolutely gorgeous guys aboard the enormous floating party bus that's taking them to the competition island. His first thought is, I'm beginning to realize just how unlikely I am to win this thing. This is an understandable sentiment from Pete. He's just spent Chuck knows how long gaining nothing and being treated like nothing by the corporate system. So of course he doesn't have any belief in his own worth. But fortunately, this is the last low before his lot begins to improve. On the flying party bus, he sat next to a Bigfoot named Renton Tebis, who notices how nervous Pete is looking. The two begin talking. Renton admits he's done the competition once or twice and points out that the second our feet hit the ground out there, you and me are going to be in direct competition. The guy obviously knows how this whole thing works and no doubt knows what's at stake. Despite this, he offers some support to Pete. All right, here's a freebie. Head out towards the older aeroplane hangar. There'll be some very cute sunglasses hidden up there. Fortunately for Pete, this tip turns out to be sound. It could have been an act of sabotage, but it wasn't. This is odd. Buttnite is a last man standing competition, so there's no incentive for Renton to support Pete. But he did. It was just a nice thing to do for someone. Pete finds the sunglasses just in time to take on his first trot fest against the well-dressed unicorn. He doesn't really know what to do, but with that little eyewear boon Renton sent his way, he feels like he can at least give it a go. So with all the swagger I can muster, I begin strutting towards the beautiful unicorn. And with that, he gains his first victory. He loots the gear left behind once his rival is teleported away, and then he gets down to business. Before long, the competition is down to just two. Pete and, wouldn't you know it, Renton. Both know that the winner takes all, yet both are hesitant to take the other on. Pete openly acknowledges that the sunglasses saved me right from the top of the competition, and that because of that, it feels wrong to send you off the island. Pete can't bring himself to take one good turn from Renton and then return it by knocking the Bigfoot from the competition so close to the end. So he tries to forfeit, secure in his confidence that I'll make it this far next time around. So, there, within a very short space of time, we see a completely different Pete. He started the competition with little hope to contend. Renton gives him the location of some sunglasses, and that one small token of support is all Pete needs to become self-sufficient and start slaying the competition. But by the time the pair meet up again, well, let's revisit a line there, shall we? It feels wrong to send you off the island. I don't know about you, but I'm sensing no concession to chance or competition from Renton here. Pete's words are those of someone so confident in himself that he now just assumes he'll win. Renton's small act of support has created self-sufficiency and confidence in Pete, but it's also created a certain graciousness in our protagonist. Pete probably could win, but he knows Renton's probably the reason for that, so Pete tries to hand him the match, confident that he could do it all again. All this is a huge turnaround from the nervous corporate victim we saw on the flying bus at the start of the competition. Now, when Pete says that he's going to forfeit by taking off all his gear, Renton's reaction to this is, "Oh, no, you don't. If you take off all your gear, then I'm taking off all my gear too." It's unclear whether Renton does this because he's a nice guy or because he believes in fair play, but the result is the same either way. They end up standing naked before one another, and then, well, what comes next? It's a pact.
I think it was the Yeti.
Sorry. So they end up standing naked before each other. This is a pact that neither will let the other throw the match. And this being a Tingler, it's a pact they sign and come. And lots of it. Once they're done splashing the thighs and notching the Ds on their gonadal contracts, they're still left with the fact that the game has to end. They decide the only fair way to do this is to walk hand in hand out of the bounds of the competition. One of them will be out of bounds first, but only by a split second. It's a coin flip, which one of us will come out on top. Pete loses. He's teleported back to his squalid home and forced to confront the reality of just how much that money would have meant to me. Thrust back into the corporate capitalist world with no obvious sign of support, Pete's already considering just how early I need to get up tomorrow to start looking for another job. That's when he hears a commotion from outside. There he sees the handsome Bigfoot waving to me from the front seat of his brand new sports car. Reading on a little further, there's 500,000 credits in here with your name on them. Renton calls out to Pete at this point. So here we see how support works both ways. If Renton hadn't helped Pete, he may well have had to face someone else to win Buttnite, and he may well have lost. His act of support created not only self-sufficiency in Pete, but created the environment for their final showdown. The final result was left down to chance, and Renton came out on top. But just as Pete tries to forfeit the game because he recognised the part Renton played in creating his success within the tournaments, so Renton recognises the part Pete has played in his newfound success outside of the tournament. And so he turns up to give Pete half the winnings. Renton's support created self-sufficiency in Pete. Pete's self-sufficiency created the headspace for him to go on to support Renton in return. Now, with the prize money, the cycle of creative support and self-sufficiency has given both the means for greater self-sufficiency and the freedom to support others as needed. Hopefully, that cycle will roll on. It's a conclusion, baby. So, is Buttnite Buttle Royale a cash-in on the Fortnite name and craze? Sure. Beyond the flying party bus, we see very little of Fortnite's particular flavour shine through in either the details or the messaging. However, Fortnite wasn't the first to use the Battle Royale format in video games, nor was it the first one to bring it into popularity. Though his treatment of the Fortnite property may be coattail riding at best, Beat Tinkeshi's treatment of the broader Battle Royale format is something else entirely. Firstly, turning a last man standing murder fest into survivalist battle pageantry is straight up wonderful. I loved reading it, would definitely play the game, and watch the hell out of it if it ever came to TV. But this aspect of it is only the dressing. At the end of part 1 of this book report, I posited that Chuck made some definite decisions when he wrote Buttnite. Of course, if there are decisions to be made, that means there's probably been some questions that have been asked along the way. In writing a story about a battle royale, the biggest question you may ask yourself is what would drive those people to compete in it? And it's this question that would provide the scaffolding upon which the dressing sat. I feel I belaboured that one a little bit. Okay, so obviously I can't say this for sure, but if Chuck asked himself this question, he certainly offers up corporate capitalism as an answer, as that being the thing that would drive someone into a horrible 100-man winner-takes-all survival fest. Obviously, it's dressing up in this one, but in the original format, it's murder. So, in the first part of the book, we're shown how the power hierarchies such a system relies upon causes destruction and breeds desperation. And then in the second part, we're shown the antidote. A cycle of support and self-reliance proves love is real through Pete and Renton. Where one could have been victorious alone, instead there stands two, and with just a little bit more love in the world. If that's not a complex and valuable treatment of the Battle Royale idea, I don't know what is. Mad props, Chuck.
Lovely.
Finn.
Yeah. So just fading out the music.
Okay, cool.
And for those playing at home, he was 30 seconds away from having a 4 clicker, which is when there is bark clicked 4 times on the soundboard.
Bark?
That's the piece of music playing underneath when you do your...
Oh, right. Okay, cool. Gotcha. Oh, is that why you were holding up your fingers?
Yeah, I'm counting down the bark to bark. Almost got to a 4 bark to bark. Right, okay.
It was a long one. It was a long one. I think that one was about 3,500 words. It's almost as long as the book. Maybe longer. Oh, for fuck's sake.
What?
No, do you know what? I'm just going to take off my lab coat, because if you're here, that means we're definitely not doing science.
Greetings, horny human, I am the Tingletron. 4,000 book review scoreboard. All scores are final and very scientific.
Are you all right there, Tingletron? It sounded like your voice was breaking a little bit. Are you going through robo-puberty? I hear you. It's a difficult time of life for any robot. Get the fuck out of here, you piece of shit.
Fair. Bye.
I do it with love. I say that with love.
I don't think he did. I don't think that was pure malice.
Well, damn.
I mean, he might not even come back next time.
I am only a chuckademic. I am not a full Buckaroo disciple yet. I'm not like a 9th level laser wizard.
Yeah, you're not the second coming Buddha of
Chuck Tingle. Not yet. Give me time. Right.
So this is the bit of the show where we score the book, and seems we've already scored the book. I think we should probably just justify our scores. So we based our score system purely on the only system of rating anything that ever counted, the GameSpot equivalents from the early 2000s. So we're going to look at the cover. That's looking at the tingle. Getting to the tingle, that's the pacing. Giving you the tingle, the sexiness. Saving you some tingle. It was originally meant to be value for money. We're saying how likely we're going to recommend it from now on. And tingle tilt, the reviewer's tilt, which all scored out of 5 will give us a 4 score out of 10. And we can go to 3 decimal places.
You see, that's the bit that's made me happy. That's where I feel like we're getting into real science there with the 3 decimal places. Because of course, like pi, you always use 3 decimal places for pi, and that's about as science as you get, baby.
Yeah, precisely.
Shit's round. Need 3 decimal places. Science.
Especially when we're talking in a cycle, as we did with the theme of the book. But never mind.
Yes.
Yeah. Love is a flat circle. Right, so Buttnite Buttle Royale, the cover. Right, so let's have a look at this cover. Look at those cum guzzs. I've said it once, I've said it a million times. Look at those cum guzzs.
I seem to remember making the point that I'd never quite understood why Bigfoot as sort of featured outside of just like purely comedic reasons in the Tingle verse, but that picture, that strapping young Bigfoot, I get it now. I'm not a complete convert, but I can look at there and see that.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate bear sort of thing. It's like the most hairy, the most. Oh god! Now I remember what I said when we did this last recording. It was Abby Russell from Giant Bomb, posing the question: is it weirder if Chewbacca has like a dog dick, like a lipstick that comes out of a furry enclosure, or you part the hair and there's just a big man penis? Think about that at home. What's Tingle's idea?
I still think anything walking on 2 legs and retractable dick is weird. Because if it's retractable, obviously it's got to follow the line of the belly, so it's gonna like point directly up.
I know a couple men like that, so
yeah, fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. It's good for missionary.
Yeah, I suppose so. Okay, cool. So I think you took the lead on this scoring before, and you said 4.253.
Yeah, it sounds absolutely fair enough. I was the dude. The actual cum gutter boy, fuck boy, could have been just straight up, just topless with glasses. But I think the addition of that jacket is,
it's popping.
It's popping. There was no vest,
popping.
so you get to see the full works and the chest tattoos. It's good.
It's the accuracy of the sunglasses. It's the cute sunglasses.
It's the accuracy of the sunglasses. Yeah, it's considered. So I think the score stands.
Yep. And just so I didn't have to do any math, I'm going to agree with you. So that's 4.253 out of 5.
all scores are final, Tom, so we can't change them even if we wanted to.
They are.
We
right.
do.
We have also scored a book twice, but never mind. So replacing, getting to the Tingle, the pacing.
Yeah. What was our score?
4. I think it's because I said 3 and you said 4. You said 5. I think we met in the middle there. My argument was purely based on the fact that they have their final battle literally the next sentence after Pete has his first battle, and you said,
I was pointing out that in order to set up the reason why somebody might get into a battle royale, get them set up in the battle royale, get them to a place where they could fuck and still have space for some sort of satisfying conclusion post game. Like that's not easy pacing to fit into like 3,000 to 4,000 words. So I feel it carries along. It carries you along nicely. So
my argument would be that you could Tingle could have easily just said a few words saying battle followed battle followed battle, and then he looked down at his wrist device and found out it was the second. Yeah. But hey ho,
could have. But I think it's you're right. But I liked it. It carried you along.
Hey, this is where the math truly happened. So we've got sexiness giving you the tingle. So you scored it 3.251 out of 5. Marginally better than average, I guess. That is.
Okay.
I scored it 2.
Right.
Which gave us 2.
You still got all that old.
Mate, I'm doing it in Excel. I'm just writing it in a formula and it calculates it for you.
Fair enough.
So that comes to 2.6255 out of 5.
Didn't I giving you the tingle? I thought I would have gone lower because it was just so fast and.
Oh, maybe it was around the other way.
Yeah, because there's for a tingler there's very little time spent on the actual tingling.
Yeah,
it's basically you get there and it's bam, 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 and then you're done and you carry on and whatnot.
Much like Fortnite.
Well, yes, I suppose.
But that's the least sexy game in all existence because it looks like it plays hot fucking garbage, ladies and gentlemen. Hot fucking steaming trash.
But I mean, yeah, the score is what it is.
Score is definitely what it is. It's final.
Cool. Next up was
recommendation. Saving you some tingle.
Sharing the tingle?
Sharing the tingle, should we say now? Yeah, sharing the tingle.
Or spreading the tingle.
Oh, God, that sounds dirty. Okay.
Spreading tingle.
Okay, so one of us scored it 4.311.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one scored it 3.871 out of 5.
I'm so dumb. I might have gone for the slightly higher one. It's slight because I think my argument would be that because the Fortnite and Battle Royale thing is just kind of familiar enough to most people. It's an easy one to recommend. It's you throw someone at it, they recognize just enough. Get a good giggle out of it. Probably go, oh yeah, the improvised battle pageantry. That's fun. The gay sex, yeah, lol, wicked. This is cool. A lot easier than just throwing them at something like Monday pounds me in the butt. So
yeah, it was a little bit more meta.
Yeah, I think this one's quite recommendable. Easy to pass on.
And I do agree with you, but yeah, I do agree with you, but I feel there are books that do that pack a bigger punch at doing that. I think my example would be even the previous book, President Donald Loch Ness Trump. While it's a bit of a mishmash of ideas,
yeah,
or pounded by the pound if they were familiar with Brexit.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it depends on who you're recommending it to.
Okay, so that total together. Our scores were 4.091 out of 5. And then our final Tingle Tilt. I believe I gave it 2.5, and you gave it 4.273 out of 5.
Yeah, no, that was that one I arrived at. That was meticulously well calculated and had nothing to do with the amount of chocolate milks I'd consumed in the process of doing 2 attempts of recording this thing and spending the day with friends. It was meticulous. I mean, I've written out the logarithm that I had to actually bespoke generate and sort of hand calculate, but it's not going to make any sense to anyone, so you just have to trust me.
Awesome, perfect. So that gave us a 3.3865 out of 5, and our final 4 score is 7.3424 out of 10. How scientific is that, motherfuckers? So I think that puts it at 7th.
Yeah. I love all the we've got music and other sound effects for this, and you're still just drumming on your desk before the 4th score.
I haven't even pressed this one. There you go. Sorry, there was an air horn there.
Oh, okay. Yes, that one. Well, the air horn signifies, I guess, it's time to talk about the next book.
Yeah.
Our next reading, unfortunately, was already selected in the episode that wasn't to be, or
the one where Tom accidentally turned off all of Taryn's audio going through to the fucking OBS.
Cool. So the next book we're reading is Pounded in the Butt by My Reluctance to Buy a Humble Bundle, featuring stories with gay characters as though that has some kind of bearing on my own sexuality or the quality of the product, then eventually realizing it's pretty good and I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I love Humble Bundle, so it's going to be fun.
Yes, of course. That's how you've amassed your ridiculous library of games.
Yeah, we've gone over 1,000 at this point. We've gone over 1,000, and I still have 24 to claim from the last 2 months' worth of subscription to this fucking thing.
Crikey!
Right. So, time for housekeeping, I guess.
Yeah, do the do.
Do the voodoo that you do so well. So, you can find us at Pot Topic Podcast. You can find it on all of your favourite podcasting platforms and on our website, pottopicpodcast.com. If you want to get a hold of us, talk to us, give us some feedback, you can leave it in the comments of this YouTube video, or if you're listening to the podcast version, emails at pottopicpodcast.com. And yeah, please come along, join our Discord, join all our bollocks, endure us more.
And come and endure us.
That's a challenge.
Yeah, we don't offer you anything good here. It's like listening to post-progressive dark noise. It's a challenge, and it's supposed to be a challenge. Come and endure with us.
Have you ever tried listening to Lorne on ketamine? That's kind of the vibe we're going for. You're worried you're about to envelop into your own void. Right, cool.
Cool. So yeah, thank you very much for that. We hope to see you on the next one, where once again we will be reading. I'll just read one last time because it's
a glorious title.
Pounded in the Butt by My Reluctance to Buy a Humble Bundle, featuring stories with gay characters as though that has some kind of bearing on my own sexuality or the quality of the product, then eventually realizing it's pretty good and I'm fine. And in the meantime, when you're not reading The Good Doctor, don't forget, go around, do what you do to prove love is real.
Love is real.
Bye. Bye.
I hit the button again.